nobody had intentions of actually knocking out Mike. I know they take Jake Paul not too serious, but he has a legitimate promotional company.
Netflix wasn't ready. They just wasn't ready.
We do not need to be escalating, talking about, yes, now you can send long-range missiles. They're really like flirting with World War III.
Do you help your allies? Granted, I don't want a war. I don't want them to keep funding this war because we feel it in our pockets.
The 4B movement.
You're literally hurting other women by doing that.
In other words, you're saying, don't stop the sex. Keep the sex flowing.
But, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Louie 13th, aka the Humble King, everything relates to a conversation. Negotiation is a conversation. We just need to get to the table and speak. And if people could see us conversating and speaking and how we go approach it, we can benefit the world a lot better.
All right. So, once again, this is the Black Summit. I'm Hendrix.
And I'm Brooks.
And we got a special guest, Louie 13th. We're going to let this brother break it down and introduce himself and tell you what all he got going on. Glad to have you here, my guy.
Glad to be here. I definitely appreciate you. Definitely, my Louie 13th, aka the Humble King. I'm the owner of the Sarcastically Woke podcast, primarily focused on Black love, relationships, and Black men's mental health, and so on.
Damn, that's what's up, man. And those are two things I think the Black community definitely needs: love and mental health, man. So how'd you gotten involved in all that, man?
Truthfully, I was working on it since like 2020, around like COVID time.
Okay.
So I've been working at it, but I've always been the person or the friend that people just came to for advice, whether it's my mom, I'm talking about my mom, my dad, my grandmother.
Yeah.
And I'm always pretty straightforward, and I'm never really choosing a side. Like I really look at things the way it is. So I found that the best way I can probably give myself over or get help people out is just by putting my voice out there, compared to like just letting everybody lean on me all the time. Because I got a lot to me. It took a lot of emotions out of me and a lot of feeling out of me, always giving to people all the time. So that's the best way.
It's like it's mentally draining, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so you a big advocate for mental health too as well?
Yes, yeah. I've been in therapy since I was like 12 years old.
Oh, dude, that's
I got all the way into high school times, and I kind of went back into it in my 30s.
Yeah. So you recommend a lot. Some people would say, even if you don't know, necessarily nothing has to be going on with you, some people always say maybe you should still talk to a therapist. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I mean, most people, if you have pain or you have something in you for a long period of time, you can't tell it's there unless it's gone.
Right.
So most people who think they don't have any trauma, if you live life, you have trauma. So you got to work on it. Just talking to somebody, just simply saying, I don't want to talk, lets me know you have trauma.
I feel you.
Especially in the Black community.
Yeah. And you know what I heard one time too? I'm bad, Brooks. I mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
But, which I kind of believe that to some degrees, they say like, well, Blacks in America, we suffer from Stockholm syndrome, right? And they were saying to be Black, almost every Black person born in America needs to talk to some type of therapy, through some type of trauma that's been passed down through generation to generation, you know what I mean? Through systematic things or oppression that happened to, our people as a whole. But I heard someone said to, and to quote, what's the man who wrote the book, Brooks? Remember If Beale Street Could Talk?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I can't think of his name right now.
I can't think. And I've just watched one of his interviews too. He was saying to be Black in America is to always walk around in a state of anger or dismay, being Black. That's why he left, and he's a famous author. I'm gonna look up his name. If y'all know his name, please drop it in the comments. Forgive me for having a brain freeze right now. Sometimes it happens at my old age, but he said to be Black in America, and this may be not a direct quote verbatim, but to be Black in America is to always walk around in a state of turmoil and confusion, just being Black in this country. That's why he left and went to Paris, and blossomed his career there, because he was from New York originally. But yeah, man, they said, that's a good thing, man. I like to see brothers doing the work on themselves, man, and helping other people as well, man.
We got to.
Yeah, man.
So you do the podcast, and then you have like another show, right?
Yes.
Talk to us about that show.
The other show I have is called The Battle of the Sexes.
Okay.
And that's pretty much, and again, I named it that on purpose because I know it's going to make particular people want to look into it because it feels like it's a fight, right? When truthfully, the conversation is really about healing between Black men and Black women or relationships. So I have a cast that's split between women and men, and I picked each person for an exact reason. you know, because I know they say or feel a certain way about things. And we pretty much pose the questions to the audience as well. I have set questions I give the audience as well, and they can come up and talk to us. And it's really just about having a good time and laughing, having fun. I have a DJ I got an in-house DJ that's a part of it, so that way, you know, we might say something funny, or let's say it gets a little wild in there, right? Mm-hmm. He'll play some music just to kind of like, you know, bring it back down, or make make fun with it, and just give us a way where we're not trying to resolve any issues right then and there, but maybe that guy in the crowd listening to another guy say the exact same thing, or hearing a woman say the exact same thing his woman is saying, he can go home and think about like, okay, so it's not just you, it's just a messenger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've been focusing on, just making it a fun couple situation for us to do, you know, in the nightlife as well, you know?
Yeah. That's cool, man. You know, it provoked conversation.
That's the thing. It starts a lot of conversation.
Yeah,
I was looking at one clip. I was like, actually, I think you sent it to me. I was like, oh, yeah. That's a good one that's there.
Really cool. You know what's funny? Yeah. Years ago, before podcasting, y'all remember vlogging?
Yeah.
So used to like, I'm sorry, not blogging. Not vlogging, I'm sorry, blogging. And, you know, people would have these blogs. I remember Google had a platform where you can do your blog, because we used to have King Street Gentlemen. Before that, you know, I actually did a blog. He had a blog called Battle of the Sexes. And it was about, and I would put like, you know, imagery of certain relationship situations. And then I would write down, you know, give my thoughts on it. And then I would share it out on my social media. Then people would comment on it and stuff like that. Because they would even let you, with Google AdSense, I could put advertising spaces on my blog. So I had it for a while, and it was doing all right. But then, you know, sometimes you get lazy after a while. And I just kind of fell off on it, you know.
No, it's a grind to keep pushing that type of information, or a continuous fight that sometimes feels like it's not getting anywhere.
Right.
But if the message is there, somebody's watching, somebody's looking. So you might not get 100 people, but you might get 2 people. And that 2 turns into 20 or 30 a year down the line if they share that, you know what I mean? Or they take that same conversation in the house, you know, during like a little kickback or whatever, and then boom, you made a difference. Because we just don't talk like we used to, and there's obviously there's a shift or a rift between us, you know, all through social media. Yeah. And it affects the culture, it affects the music, it affects everything.
Right.
You know, so I think it's important that we just at least have a conversation.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah. I think we ought to get back to that face to face.
Yeah.
Talking face to face.
I have a question. Who's gonna win? No, I'm just kidding. You know, who's going to win the battle?
After every event, the ladies always say, all right, we got that one, right? I'm like, all right, you got that, queen. You got that. You got that. You know, but it's funny is though, like within the conversation, like I moderate it, but I'll have a certain question, and I'll have like, I know I have Avis next to me, she's a she has like a dating service, whatever. So I'll put her against the old school player. You know what I mean? Like I'll put a question out there and say, all right, y'all go talk about that. What you think? And just see where it goes. You know what I mean? Then the crowd gets involved in. Yeah. But the ladies always think they win, so.
Yeah.
But hey, if they win, we win, right? So
right.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah. We'll make them think that they won. No, I'm just
kidding. you know, like Chris Rock said, they not in it to win. They in it for distance and irritation. That's what Chris Rock said.
That's how it feels. But then once they feel like they won, they give you something. She's like, you know what? All right, cool. You got that.
So then we all win, right?
Then we all win. That's the whole point.
That's the whole point.
That's the whole point, just for us to all win.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you being here and sharing that stuff with us. We'll definitely link it down below. But yeah, we're going to get started with some of the topics. We're going to be talking about Netflix, their fight that they put on. A lot of people are saying that it's scripted. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. And then we're going to be talking about the Russia-Ukraine war. It's starting to heat up a little bit. Yeah, missiles are flying. Things are happening. So we'll be getting into that. And then we're going to talk about the 4B movement. It's catching a lot of steam now that Trump has been elected. And so we're going to be delving into that as well. But first, we're going to talk about the fights that happened this weekend. Talking about the Mike Tyson fight. Hendrix, what did you think of that?
I thought it was entertaining. It was entertaining. That's what it's for. You know, it's an exhibition about, you know, for where they went 8 rounds for 2-minute rounds. I'll be honest with you, the women who fought before that was the fight. That was the fight. That that was for you know, that I'm sure that was on Box Rec, you know what I mean? And that was for the record right there, you know. But you know, Tyson, like people said, you know, Jake Paul kind of let off the gas a little bit so he didn't hurt him, and that may very well be true. But at the same time, just because Tyson's older, he could hurt Jake Paul as well. You know, you never underestimate older men's strength, you know. So I think honestly, I think they both kind of, you know, just went there and did what they had to do, and same outcome with the you know, Roy Jones and Tyson fight. You know, they didn't even declare a winner in that one.
But you know, Mike was really fighting in that one.
In the Roy Jones one?
A lot of people felt like he was, you know, holding back. Louie, what did you think?
Okay, I can't say I think it was necessarily scripted, but I do think that nobody had intentions of actually knocking out Mike. I don't think, you know what I mean? Like, ultimately, people don't realize what, you know, Jake. I know they take Jake Paul not too serious. Yeah. But he has a legitimate promotional company, and every single boxer on there from the WBO or actual boxers who are actually getting record, you know, getting wins that goes on their actual sanctioned record, and they gave them the biggest paydays they can ever have compared to, because boxing is kind of a sport that's kind of going downhill compared to what it used to be. So I don't think it was scripted, but I do feel like they knew, like, hey, let's not just knock this man out. It won't look too good because we can't keep on doing this if we knock our actual legends. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we can't keep doing this because it will look really, really bad. If, you know what I mean? We'll feel sorry if we see Mike on, like, laying down. Like, it'll look crazy.
Oh, yeah, that would have been bad.
So I don't think it was scripted. I think Mike was trying to a certain extent, but it looked like Jake Paul, whenever he had a chance to do something, he kind of just let back. Yeah, and it looked that way to me, you know. Yeah, but I don't think it was scripted, man. I think he did a good thing.
Well, when I compared the two fights, when I look at the Roy Jones, you actually mentioned that, Hendricks. You know, I mean, Mike was really fighting in that one. I felt like he was holding back in this fight a lot. And
I can see that.
A lot of people were saying that's the reason why he was biting, you know, his glove so much. You know, because he was like, he wanted to, like, go out there and really fight, but you know, he kept stopping himself, and so that's kind of what happened. Is that true? I don't know, you know, but I just you know, I think that it ultimately did what it needed to do for them. They got their money, they got the bag, and you know, that's all they wanted to do, really. And I mean, $20 million to just kind of, you know, run around the ring. I mean, anybody would take that, right? I mean,
I would.
Oh yeah. So
$1 million.
And it gave boxing a good look. But Mike did stumble walking out.
Yeah,
he did stumble, and it
true.
seemed like when the first round when he went after him, after that he lost his balance again, like his knee went out.
Yeah. He did have on a knee brace.
You know? Yeah.
So
and they were saying his legs didn't look. I'm not. Once again, I'm not trying to make no excuse or anything of that, but they was saying who Andre Ward commentated and
Roy.
And Roy.
Yeah.
And Roy was saying that he didn't like the way Mike and Rosie Perez. Yeah. So he was saying that he didn't like the way that his legs was looking, you know, underneath him and everything like that. Right. But if you notice, like the first two rounds, Mike came out, tried to catch him and whatnot, and then you know, eventually after a while, that sort of relinquished a little bit, and then Jake Paul kind of took over. I think Jake Paul, he fought a very smart fight. He stayed on the outside. You don't want to come inside and bang with Tyson. No. That's what Tyson does, because he's used to fighting boxers taller than him, so you got to beat your body up, right?
And he lunges too.
Exactly. So I think Jake Paul fought a very smart fight, you know. And to be an older guy, if you notice, when Jake Paul was throwing a lot of punches, Mike Tyson was still bobbing and weaving.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That counter.
Exactly. Yeah. So he still was moving out of the way a lot of those punches. But but back to what you said, Brooks, about him fighting, and I agree, he did fight a little harder with Roy Jones, and that's because Roy Jones is an actual, not saying Jake Paul isn't a boxer, but he's not a boxer like Roy Jones. He's more like a novelist.
But I mean, he does have a trainer. You know what I mean? Like a world-class trainer, right? I think it's like a UFC guy or something who's his trainer.
Yeah, but that don't mean anything.
They train all the time.
Dude, hold on.
Okay, go
ahead. If Louie, you mind if I call you Louie?
Yeah.
If Louie actually got a record, he was boxing from a little kid, say he been boxing for like maybe 13, 14 years, right? And then you come in and you get a trainer, say you only doing it about 2 or 3 years, but yet you got say I'm a world class official boxing trainer, but y'all got an exhibition bout, and you're going to come up, and I'm gonna train you, and you're going to fight this guy. This is in his DNA. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter. I mean, I've trained a professional fighter because I used to. I had my cornerman's license. I trained professional fighter, but he was a professional fighter. That's like a putting a street fight in there with a professional fighter. And a lot of times street fighters think that they can beat a boxer. And that's totally crazy. You know what I'm saying? How you can beat somebody who trained to beat up people and you street fighting. It doesn't matter who his trainer is. Doesn't matter. He's a novelist. He's not a pure, true boxer.
He isn't. But I will say that Roy, he couldn't really move laterally too much in their fight as well.
True. Yeah.
He couldn't move as much, so he was on him. So I do think Tyson at moments pulled back because nobody was supposed to get knocked down.
Right.
And Roy didn't take it seriously. Remember, like before, he was like, Roy was like, I think this is for real. Like,
right.
This is real. I was like, he's not playing.
And you notice after that fight, it was funny. They kept going to Roy. Are you all right? After the fight now? Roy, you all right? Did you feel his power? Did he hurt you when he hit you? Tyson's like, man, what about me? Ain't nobody asked me if I'm all right. He got power too. He knocked out people too. I was like, damn, you got a point, Mike. Everybody concerned about Roy, but nobody thinking that.
Because it looked great.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. But they both had two big bellies. It was entertaining, man. Yeah,
it was more entertaining than Jake Paul fight.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
It was way more entertaining.
Way more entertaining.
When I saw him step to the side and do a little. Look at you.
Look
at you. Go ahead, Roy.
Did y'all have problems with the Netflix?
Yes. Oh
yeah.
That lag was unbelievable.
Oh man.
Mainly on that fight, and I was talking trash on Facebook. Like, I guess y'all need to work on y'all internet, and then boom.
Yep. You know what happened to me? It did lag, and a few times I had to restart it, right? And then one time I waited, and it lagged, and then it reboot, and it went all the way back to the beginning.
Oh my gosh.
I had to go in Netflix and fast forward it all the way to the girls' fight to catch up to where it's supposed to be.
Dang.
Netflix wasn't ready. They just wasn't ready.
And they're supposed to be having like the football games on Christmas.
I heard
they better
that.
fix that thing.
They better fix it.
Because we ain't gonna be having that for that.
Boxing is one thing, but when you deal with football in America,
yeah,
you don't want to mess with that.
Yeah.
You do not want to mess with that.
A lot of people were like, "Oh, I'm about to cancel my Netflix."
Oh yeah. Oh, for football, they definitely gonna cancel that.
That was their test. I think they're just testing it on it to see what happens.
Yeah. But it worked well when didn't Cat Williams go live? Didn't have no problem. Well, of course, he probably didn't drew as much people as a Mike Tyson did. And I think Chris Rock went live too on Netflix.
And it was fine?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, definitely with the Chris Rock one, it played fine. But once again,
I wonder what happened.
I think they drew like 180 million people for this fight. They fought in the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. It was 80,000 capacity. It was packed, you know. So I'm sure Cat Williams drew a lot, after the Shannon Sharp thing. So that was the setup for that, right? And then Chris Rock after the slap with Will Smith. So it drew, but I don't think it didn't do that, that astronomical of a number.
Yeah. But everybody knows Mike.
Everybody knows
exactly.
Mike.
Either whatever demographic you from, Mike Tyson. So he got everybody. Cat Williams got us.
Exactly.
Yeah. And some, what I mean? But and Chris Rock too, what I mean? He kind of mixes over a little bit. I would assume he probably would have got more than Cat. But Mike, everybody knows Mike.
Everybody knows Mike.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody knows Mike.
Everybody.
Did y'all watch the John Jones fight? UFC?
Yep.
I didn't, man. I seen the clip, so he won, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I watch every fight.
KO. Yeah, he knocked him out. With it was like a kick.
Spinning back clip.
Almost like a little roundhouse or something.
I was like, dang. Yeah. But a lot of people say he's the GOAT. I don't know.
Of course he is, man.
He is. See, man, like I watch UFC. I'm a boxing dude, right? Come up in boxing, stuff like that, getting in fights in the streets and stuff like that. So, not knocking UFC, and then I love martial arts as well. But only time I watch UFC, it have to be a big name. But boxing, if the fight is interesting, even if it's a no name, I'll watch boxing. I used to train kids too, and we took them out to exhibition bout at Hollywood with other kids. I don't know if you.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah. I think Hollywood passed already. So we took our kids out there, and I don't know, man. I just get caught up in that excitement. You know what I'm saying? I know it's not crazy because a lot of people love boxing, man. I don't know, man. Just boxing.
Well, UFC is the new boxing. That's it's taking over.
I'll make some people mad.
You know,
taking over.
Yeah.
It is selling
Let's
more.
be honest, y'all.
It is selling more, and they outworking. They're definitely outworking it. They always
Yeah.
pack out arenas. Like I done went to a few of them. Like they
and
definitely
think
pack it out.
You're right, and I think it's because they do more bouts. They have more bouts
Yes.
than bouts, and then you gotta wait so long for these fights to get made in boxing, man.
Boxing.
You gotta realize in boxing isn't sanctioned, so it has no commission, and it's very dirty sport. I remember when 50 Cent, when he was chilling with Floyd, when it was real tight, 50 Cent had picked up Mayorkas Gamboa as his fighter, and 50 Cent he bought his promoter's license in New York and I think in Vegas, I believe. And now you notice 50 Cent is out of boxing, and Tyson warned him. He said, "Yo, let me tell you something. You can make the money, but this is a very, very dirty sport. It's not commissioned. It's not sanctioned." He said, "Trust me, they waiting on you. They know you coming. They waiting on you to take advantage." I saw the interview. He said they waiting to take advantage of you. Some people, if your fighter is knocking out dudes, they ain't gonna let you fight.
Not gonna fight
because their stock gonna go down on their fighter, right? You know what I'm saying? Or some people gonna do a little something to,
That's why
the
boxing's
judge to
gonna
do
die.
something. And I don't think it'll never
That's
die.
Floyd's fault.
And I think Come
I don't
on,
think-
tell
I
him.
don't think
this
it'll never
man's a
die.
Floyd fan over here.
That's
He's a
Floyd's fault, man. And I like Pretty Boy,
Floyd.
I know what
fanboy.
you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say.
but you know it's true.
You're gonna say because of the non-beaten record.
Well,
That's what you're
he
saying.
used that as his position for people to just like him. And it really rose his stock so much to the point where people hated him because they wanted him to lose.
True.
Yeah.
So now even the promoters play the exact same game with their people. We can't get the fights we want to get because they're like, if he loses, dang, the fans not going to support him no more, and then they actually lose stock. But compared to back in the day, you can lose, come back, it doesn't matter. But now if you lose, he's a bum.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
But you know,
disheartening.
honestly,
The day that boxing died was the day that Floyd didn't take the Manny Pacquiao fight when it was supposed to happen. And that was the end of boxing. All right? I'm telling you right now, that was the end of boxing. And I know a lot of people are going to come after me, but, that cheated the people out of that fight. And yes, we got it like 6 years later, but Manny Pacquiao wasn't the person he was back then. And so, after that, it was over. And boxing hasn't really recovered. But,
let me.
That's why we had to have Jake Paul, a YouTube star, come in and actually put some life into this thing.
Let me break this whole thing
it's okay.
down with the Manny Pacquiao and the Floyd, the first fight, right? The first fight they were supposed to do.
Okay. And not too long.
The first
'cause we gotta
time,
move on.
I know, the first time why they didn't fight,
All right.
Bob Arum did hold up that fight, right? So then Floyd said, "Look, I'm the A side, you the B side." Floyd said, "Look, 60-40. He called Pacquiao. Pacquiao said, "No, 50-50. Hang up the phone," right? Then when they was getting in negotiation, they supposed to do Olympic-style drug testing. Pacquiao did not want to do that. He said, "Oh, no, my needles, my religion." He said, "Well, then this fight ain't going to happen if you don't want to do Olympic-style drug testing." The second time, when the fight did get made, the fight got made because I think they was at a basketball game together. So he ran up on Pacquiao. So what's up? And then he said, "Look, promoters aside, let's talk and then let's get this fight done."
Right.
And that's how the fight was able to get made that time. And then you said Pacquiao wasn't over the hill because even after that, Pacquiao still fought. He beat up Adrian Broner. He beat up a few people. And then Floyd
Keith
older
Thurman.
Yeah, exactly. And Floyd older than Pacquiao. So the argument really has no weight. There's no weight to that argument. You know what I'm saying?
He did control a lot though. Like once he became his own promoter, he
definitely. He definitely
he
did that.
semi cherry picked. This is honestly
control
he
a lot.
did do that.
He definitely
And
control a lot. He
the-
definitely control a lot.
and that's when people were paying closer attention to him. That's just like, he can't knock nobody out. You didn't know Pretty Boy Floyd, I guess.
Yeah,
they didn't know that one.
He don't know Pretty. He definitely don't know Pretty Boy Floyd.
They didn't know that one.
Yeah.
I always tell people I used to like Floyd, and
don't know
you
Pretty Boy
actually
Floyd.
just laid it out. Eventually he became the villain, and it was because of the things that he was doing.
He did become the villain,
so-
and then later on got mad about people calling him the villain, which I agree with Jeff Lamb. He said, "Dude, you called yourself the villain. You can't get mad when people call you the villain."
Wearing Mexican flags and coming out and
Exactly.
stuff.
Yeah,
Like, come
exactly.
on, bro.
You know, because he got that from his uncles. As Roger them used to call themselves the Mexican assassin. So that's why he would fight on.
That.
And it's all promotion. He would fight on Cinco de Mayo because your biggest boxing fans are Mexicans. So that's why he would fight on Cinco. It's all about promotion. What his uncles them told him, hey, this is how we gonna do this. You know what I mean? So you're gonna go far. So he had a dad and 2 uncles in his corner training him. So
but I wish they didn't use the 0 as a promotional thing.
Yeah.
Because now everybody's scared to get a 0.
Yeah.
And now we can't get no fights.
And I agree with you to some degree, but you know what? Honestly, like you said, a lot of people watch Floyd fight to see him lose, right? People just got tired of seeing him win, right? But me, I'm just such a fan of boxing. So I love, like you said this earlier, the science, hit and not get hit, right? I love the defense. It ain't just about offense, right? But I think even if Floyd would have lost, I think people would have still tuned in to see his fights. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And honestly, even though I'm a Floyd fan, even with that De La Hoya fight, I think it's 2 fights technically Floyd could have lost. The De La Hoya.
Madonna.
Not Madonna fight. It's in his early fights when he fought is it Castillo? I think it's Castillo.
Oh yeah.
Because he came back in the second
He came back and did it
and then tore him up that second. But if you look at the comp cards, I said, damn, dude, Floyd would have lost this fight. What's going on? You know what I'm saying? But sometimes, like I said, boxing's a dirty sport.
Yeah.
Judges going to put people. Judges going to put people and elevate certain people.
You made a good point though, because UFC consistently makes fights, and they make the fights people want to see all the time. 2 years ago, I only saw 2 boxing fights I wanted to see. 2. Nobody. It's just too far.
Yeah,
spread apart. Like they're not fighting 2-3 times a year no more. They might fight once.
Yeah. And look,
maybe twice.
With the thing that you guys were talking about, I mean, look at how people still love McGregor even though he's lost. And if he comes back, that's going to be a record. A record's going to be set. People trying to watch him. So, I mean, same thing. I'm sure they would set some records with John Jones.
But during the UFC, I heard UFC, like everybody got an L on their belt. Just about
most not all of them, but they don't. The culture in UFC, they don't care.
It's totally different.
If they like you, Michael Chandler, you watch it. Like Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler never really wins that much.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's exciting.
It's exciting to see him.
It's just it's exciting. So I love it.
But what I heard about UFC, man. I heard Dana White taking all them dudes' money.
That's what they say.
That's what I heard, man. That's why Conor was like, yo, I'm going to make this much money? Sign me up. That's why Conor never really went back to UFC. He said he made more money in that Floyd Mayweather fight than he made his whole career in UFC. That's why he barely went back. And one
because Floyd, man.
Because Floyd, exactly. Floyd. And Floyd said that, I don't know how true this is, Dana White was going to take majority of Conor's purse. And Floyd said, no, pay that man what you owe him. He the one in the ring. You going to get this much, and he need to be getting majority of the purse. He the one putting himself on the line. That's what I heard. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know, man. UFC, then when they get in those clinches and hold themselves on the ground and just get boring. They just sitting there looking at them. I'm like, man.
I like MMA. I like every aspect of it. But given the fact that you have a heavy boxing look, which my father was in it too, so I get that.
Yeah.
They're all just strikers. Not a lot of them really have good boxing. Yeah. And also in MMA, you can't necessarily have that high stance. You have to worry about somebody taking you down, so they got their hands down. You know what I mean? Like it's too much to worry about.
It's like, dude, if you got somebody in the ground, you can't hit him with the fist. Why you got to hit him like this? Like a tomahawk. That looks sus. Hey, dude, I mean, I'm just being honest. If y'all see me get in a street fight and I get someone on the ground and I do this, and I hit him like, when y'all look at me like, dude, what Hendrix doing, man? He looking a little sus. No diddy, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to hit him like this with the fist, like this, with the top of the knuckle. I don't understand that.
All right, we're going to move on.
This is going to be a whole episode right here, bro.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, Russia and Ukraine, the war is starting to heat up. A lot of people are saying that World War III is on the precipice here. Putin actually just said that he's going to be thinking about nuclear war. And I'm going to play this clip. This is from ABC, I believe.
Okay. Joe Biden has been accused of trying to start World War III after the U.S. gave Ukraine the green light to use American-made missiles to attack targets in Russia. The White House hit back at the Kremlin today after they said the U.S. president was fueling the fire. Biden reportedly hopes the new policy will send a message to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un not to send any more soldiers to aid Russia's war effort. Along with the Kremlin, Donald Trump Jr. said Biden's administration wants to get World War III going before before newly elected Donald Trump Sr. has a chance to create peace. Joe Biden...
We just had confirmation that Ukraine has actually now fired these American-made attack and ballistic missiles into Russia. President Biden, of course, lifting restrictions on where the weapons can be used. But as you say, this morning, Vladimir Putin appearing to threaten to use nuclear weapons if these were used. But Ukraine seeming to call his bluff, firing 6 missiles into an ammunition storage warehouse in the Bryansk region of Russia. Russia claiming that it intercepted 5 of these missiles. You know, Putin's made nuclear threats before that have proved to be hollow, but I think the situation remains highly volatile. President-elect Trump, of course, promising to end the war when he takes office, but I think these developments are going to make that all the harder. Meanwhile, Ukraine marking a grim milestone today, 1,000 days of Russia's devastating war with daily attacks across the country just going on and on.
All right, so 1,000 days. Yeah, it's basically in February, it'll be 3 years if it's not ended.
This war?
So this war.
It's been going on that long?
It's been going on for the whole entire, Biden, administration. So, Louie, what do you think about this?
What I do find interesting about it is before, Trump got elected, we were holding off from giving them support with the U.S. missiles. Then right before, he's about to get in there, then all of a sudden, all right, go ahead, use it. Because they had fears of the backlash from Russia from doing that. It was already a thing in the White House from fears of it being like retaliation, because we're giving somebody something to use from us and we can get retaliated against. And then right before Trump gets in there, you give him missiles, which we already know the reason why you didn't do it beforehand. It just seems kind of suspect to me. And it's truly scary, but it's going on for a while. You look at the world news, this has been a thing for quite a while. It's just, why are we've been assisting and they've been threatening us for a while. And I listened to a guy on the news and he was like, they bluff a lot. Like, don't worry about it. They do it all the time. Don't worry. Like,
how can you say that?
He really said it on the news, like, they bluff all the time. I wouldn't pay a lot of attention to them. Like, you see what this man does right now?
Yeah.
So no, it does seem kind of suspect to me right beforehand, but I don't know what it necessarily means.
I got you. Hendricks?
I don't know. It is fascinating to me, like the way the media spins it to some degree. It's like Biden started this war, like they will put more emphasis on Biden than they would actually put on Putin. I don't think he should give Ukraine any more money. Definitely not that. But I know they're allies of Ukraine. You already broke them off. So you don't need to give them no more money, And then, of course, with the missiles, these are American-funded missiles. Mm-hmm. So therefore, whoever's our ally, they can't shoot their missile, well, unless if you're Israel. Israel can launch their missiles. You know what I mean? But you cannot shoot. That's why they had to give the okay to give the permission to launch these missiles, right? And they're in fear of a nuclear war attack. And then they're saying that once Trump get in there, he's going to... Trump... that's one of the things they were saying before, and people downplayed, Trump cozies up to Putin. Now, what you going to say now when he gets in office? Because he's saying, I'm going to stop this war, Putin his boy. And then plus at one time they were saying that Trump had some real estate endeavors with Russia. He was trying to do something with Russia, or some business with Russia, whatever. So he's definitely going to cozy up to Putin now, and if he's going to stop the war. But I mean, how is that going to help? Is Trump going to stop funding Ukraine? I mean, what's that even going to look like come next year?
He said he wasn't going to, right? Or he wouldn't have never done that?
Yeah, I don't think... he always claims that the war would have never happened if he was in there. And, I do think that this war is Biden's fault. And a lot of people may disagree with that. But how did this war start? Well, it started because... the UN was kind of flirting with Ukraine. Okay, they were kind of saying, "Hey, we may bring you in to the UN." No pun intended. And we were never going to allow Ukraine to be in the UN, but we kind of were like, "Oh yeah, like Putin was getting mad about it, but we never said that they weren't going to be a part of it." And so. That's really why this war started, was because we never really took a stance. And it's really on Biden that they didn't take a stance. And, And not only that, we have funded this war from day one, okay? And we got to stop it. I mean, regardless of whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Trump supporter or not, like, sending all of our money over there to help them, I just feel like, really isn't beneficial for us right now. Now, we do need peace. And how do you make peace? Well, everybody's got to get a little bit of something. And, as crazy as it may sound, like, listen, I mean, Putin's going to have to get a little bit of something out of this, but also Ukraine gets a little bit of something out of this. And so you need somebody to come to the table and kind of negotiate a deal. By the way, when the war had started, there was a peace deal that was on the table. And, Blinken, I believe his name is, was our Secretary of State, ended up taking the deal off the table because he was like, we don't negotiate with terrorists or whatever kind of, high horse he was on. And so it kind of messed us up by not getting in there and actually creating this peace. And now, hundreds of thousands of people have died. And it's getting to a place where, North Korea has to bring over their troops to come help, Putin, because all these people, all these soldiers have died. Like a lot of people don't realize, the destruction of this war. And it's like, okay, yeah, let's keep it going. Let's keep funding them. It's like, how many more people have to die? I mean, I'm literally talking about hundreds of thousands of people on both sides that have died. I mean, how long are you going to fund this? Till there's no more people? I mean, they literally, get this, y'all, they've changed the age range over there in Ukraine because all the young people have died, basically, all the young men, all the young soldiers. So, I mean, when you think about that, it really hits you in the face. And the fact that, we're like escalating this is, to me, unbelievable. I mean, like, what are we talking about here? Like, we do not need to be escalating these things and talking about, yes, now you can send long range missiles. Like what? Yeah. I mean, they're really like flirting with, World War III.
Yeah.
So,
What nuclear warfare, which is your chemical nukes, the kill radius is crazy. Like now, as far as Biden, I don't know if he's any truth to that, if he has something to do with that or whatever. But one thing is, like, two wars, right? Israel and Gaza, or Palestine or whatever, and then you have Ukraine and Russia.
We need to end both of them.
It's two wars that we have. I don't to what degree, I don't know what stake America has, and of course Israel's an ally and Ukraine's an ally, right? Mm-hmm. To what degree would it stake? So they're going to help their allies, and we constantly give Israel money, right? But but also even I don't know what degree Biden has to do with that, but also to other countries, he's a reflection on the American people because he represents us. So really, at the end of the day, really, it's not our wars. And I don't know how old you guys are. I'm sure you guys are a little younger than me. Back in Reaganomics, Russia was always the enemy. That was it. Wasn't Korea. It wasn't It was always it was Russia. Even when they did the satellites, Russia said, okay, we're going to send somebody to the moon first. We're going to do Sputnik, which the satellite was called Sputnik. We're going to do that. They were always a race to see who can be first, right? And they were always saying that Russia is a communist country. As a little kid, you will always see Russia was always portrayed as the enemy. And then they really didn't have, everything was cordial, but you always keep an eye on Russia. And now when Trump comes in, granted, if everything's going to work out well, where we can work together as people, but Trump comes in, that's what people were saying, oh, he cozy up to Putin, and Putin is definitely a dictator. Putin don't want to step down. Trump don't want to step down, right? So from my understanding, the war was Russia actually used to own the land Ukraine. They owned that.
They did.
So he wanted it back for whatever reason. That's my understanding of the war. As far as how deep Biden goes in or whatever Congress has to do with that, I don't know. I don't necessarily
think it's the UN, I'm telling you.
The UN?
They did not want them to join the UN.
Russia did not want Ukraine to join the UN?
Exactly. Because,
then power reasons?
Yeah. Power reasons, like if you join the UN, you're protected basically by, every country that's
in the Russia
UN.
in the UN?
So No, they're not.
So Russia not in the
They're
UN.
not a part of it.
Okay, so
Neither
obviously
is China or North Korea
well, then,
or any of those.
okay, then that would
Yeah.
make sense. That would make sense what I just said. You just give a second part of what I said. If you own something or you had something, and therefore you don't want it to be with someone else, the allegiance with someone else, and you're not with that, then obviously how are you going to take it back if they got forces now? So that's the same thing I just said. What you said, they don't want them to join the UN. They want that land back. Putin want that land back, right? And obviously, if they join the UN, then he can't get that land back.
Yeah.
So that's really what it boils down to. Now, as far as what place America has to do with that, now I know they're allies.
Well, we're
with them,
funding it.
No, I mean, yes, that I know we're funding it, but for far
That's
as
the whole-
starting
That's the weird
war,
part. That's the weird part.
That's
to
the
me.
part about it I
mean,
don't like.
I don't
But
want to
starting the war.
I don't want to
see where
seem
America started
mean
the
by
war.
saying this, but like they would have been done for if we weren't
If we didn't
funding
fund it, I agree.
You know,
I agree.
And so I mean, we're literally, basically doing everything except putting troops on the ground. You know what I mean? At this point, we're giving them military, resources, all kinds of stuff.
Well,
So-
they just fired America's missiles.
Exactly,
They
that's what I'm
fired
saying.
America's missiles, right? But
So-
do you help your allies? Granted, I don't want a war. I don't want them to keep funding this war because we feel it in our pockets. That's why we have so much inflation, right? But what do you do when someone is your ally?
help your ally figure out a peace deal. That's what you do.
It does make sense. I was wondering why that hasn't been the main focus, but I think that's the reason why they're saying with Trump that he'd be the person who can do that, especially with his relationships and how he's going about things. But just simply funding something and not looking at the other side is like you're drawing a line.
Yeah.
And that's what it looks like to me. Like we're drawing a line, and again, like I said before, if we weren't going to give them the missiles before because we felt like it can escalate the situation, then you just do it. Like, what are we saying? Like, we know it could possibly escalate the situation, yet we're doing it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I don't trust nobody, man.
We got to chill out with that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to the 4B movement.
4B,
and I got
4B.
Yeah, so this is a movement that was actually started in, I believe, South Korea. And
South Korea.
let me read this excerpt from CNN. After Trump's win, some women are considering the 4B movement. In the hours and days since it became clear that Donald Trump would be reelected president of the United States, there's been a surge in interest in the U.S. for 4B. Young liberal women across TikTok and Instagram are discussing and sharing information about the South Korean feminist movement in which straight women refuse to marry, have children, date, or have sex with men. These women say that they are enraged and fed up after a majority of their male counterparts voted for a candidate who was found liable of SA and whose appointment of 3 conservative Supreme Court justices led to the overturning of national abortion right protections. All right. What do you guys think? We'll start with Louie.
Yeah.
I think it's just like a trigger clickbait type of situation, right? Like the feminist movement has always been it's been going on for a while, and every time something seems close to it, they just grab onto it. So what the 4B is? What it's no marriage, no kids, no dating, and what
No sex.
Sex,
and no sex, right?
Carnal sin.
Right,
No
but
sex.
the issue we have right now is all right. They don't like the fact that he supported something about abortion laws, right? And they wouldn't have the right pro-choice for their bodies to either have a kid or not have a kid, right? Or when you would choose to abort, the months. But when you choose to have no sex, then you're taking away control of your body because you can never use those rights that you're fighting against, which just seems weird to me because it's kind of counterproductive of what their whole main reason why they have a problem with Trump as far as for sexual assault and what he supports, pro-choice of your body, right?
Yeah.
And I just find it weird, but I think it's just simple clickbait because, again, it's been going on forever, and then you want to pull it over here. That was never a thing in the USA as far as, like, I don't want to date. I just want to have control of my body, my sexuality, whatever. Like, I don't want to be looked at as a sexual thing, but yet if I show myself off in a sexual way, then that's me controlling my power. Like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I think a lot of people just like to jump onto like the train of what's important or the waves and run with it and go against what they're actually doing, because you're not going to have kids doing that.
Yeah.
But you want to have control over whether you can have kids or not. Well, you're taking it away. Well, I guess that's a way of getting their power back, right?
In other words, you're saying don't stop the sex. Keep the sex flowing.
But it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, and within South Korea, I know that, especially in recent times, the reason why I do that is because there is pressure on the women in South Korea to have kids because of the population drop.
Yeah.
So they're forcing them and they're pressuring them a little bit more. And that's the reason why they're really pushing that movement, because like, hey, I don't want to be forced to like make kids and all these incentives and it's making the guys, be a particular way towards them, especially if the government is saying you need to do this or whatever, you know what I mean? So
but
I
also,
understand it.
Yeah, and not to cut you off, but like in South Korea, they don't have that many rights for women. Like, I feel like, a lot of women here in America have a lot of rights that a lot of women in these other countries don't really have. And so, when you think about it that way, it's, I don't know. I think it's two different movements going on here, but, they're trying to bite on this movement.
Yes.
And I think it's a little bit disrespectful to that movement, but I don't know. A lot of people, a lot of these women are like shaving their heads and stuff.
There's a woman, you saw the video. I saw a woman with alopecia talking about it, and she was saying like, so they're shaving their heads to make themselves less desirable, and I have alopecia and I can't have hair. So you're trying to say that I'm less desirable? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're literally hurting other women by doing that.
Yeah.
And jumping onto a movement just for the sake of a wave that you're not going to maintain.
Yeah.
Y'all want rights. So you're going to take away your rights to follow a movement that actually, that makes more sense over there compared to over here. It's just extremists in in that feminist movement just doing stuff, man.
I don't think it will. It definitely won't.
You don't think it's going to take off?
No, not over here, because I got some statistic facts here. Like, you have 52% white women voted for Donald Trump. 52% white women, 37% Hispanic women voted for Donald Trump, and of course 7% black women. So I don't think it will definitely. I don't think it will take off over here, because Americans love sex. So I'm just being honest. So
and they want choice of their bodies. So
yeah, you know what I mean. So I definitely don't think it will take off over here. But also, a brief history on that. That didn't even start in Korea. That actually started in Liberia.
2016?
No, in 2003. Woman of Liberia Mass Action for Peace in 2003. Woman in Monrovia, Nigeria, organized a peace movement to end the Second Liberian Civil War. The movement included silent, nonviolence protests, a sex strike, and the threat of a curse. Remember, the movie Chirac was loosely based on that. With the gang, I don't know if y'all saw the movie Chirac that Spike Lee did. Then that's what the women did. They stopped having sex. That's where we got that from. Right. That happened in Africa way before. But in Africa,
I almost walked out of that movie.
Yeah, I know, right? It was a musical. I was like, what the hell is this? But yeah, and a lot of people, trust me, you wouldn't by yourself. A lot of people in Chicago walked out too. But I get what he was doing, but the gangs and things like that. So that's what it's about, the street gangs in Chicago.
Gotcha.
But yeah, in Africa, it actually was a successful movement, because the men were warring and the women just stopped having sex. So that's initially where that started from in Africa. But yeah, I don't think it will take off here. Too many women voted for Trump. And I think the women who didn't vote for Trump, they're not going to, I don't think they're going to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, and then if any women do that, 9 times out of 10, with these numbers, okay, 47% of women voted for Kamala Harris. 32% of white women, 47% of white women voted for Kamala Harris. 52% of white women voted for Donald Trump, right? Yeah. 61% of Hispanic women voted for Kamala Harris. 37% of Hispanic women voted for Donald Trump. Now, 92% of black women voted for Kamala Harris. 7% of black women voted for Donald Trump. So whatever you guys are into, I'm sure you guys love the sisters. We love all women, but I know y'all love the sisters. So we ain't got to worry about not getting no sex. You know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it a buck. We ain't got to worry about that. Really.
They're 92%.
But that's the thing. If it does happen, I see it more so with the white women.
Okay.
doing this movement more so than the black women doing this movement, because you have 52%. They have 47. Majority of their the majority of their microeconomic, their GDP, voted for, and their demographic voted for Donald Trump. So if I see this movement happening, I see it more so with white women. But then I doubt that's going to even happen too. You may get a few, but I don't think it'll take off like that.
It's just a trend, man. Right?
So you think it'll pass?
Yeah.
Just like you notice, like, and it's a little switch of a subject, but it's still in the same vein where like, we talk about gun control and gun laws, or black on black crimes or police officers. Whenever somebody's trying to push something, they pull a video of something that just occurred, even though it's been happening the whole time. I was living in Chicago and I worked in Chicago. Okay. And it was every day something going down. Like it was weird, like how often stuff occurred. But then something will eventually make its way to Shade Room or Spiritual World. Whenever there's a political policy trying to be pushed or something, if the algorithm wants it, it will show up all of a sudden, even though it's been happening. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then people will hold on to it for a while, hoping they can get something to go, and then all of a sudden something else happens and we move on to the next thing. It's just people get triggered and it's baiting them, and then they pull into it and they try to put themselves a part of stuff. And that's something that seems like in our culture, or just the culture in general right now, not our culture, but just the culture, that they want to be a part of something. Like, I get it. Yeah, you're right. I feel this way. It must be 4B. Like, come on now. Yeah. We ain't gonna have no, come on now.
Well, I think a lot of women felt hurt after, a lot of the women who voted for Kamala, because they felt like this was the moment.
Why though?
And I think, what'd you say?
I said, why do you think that? I mean, I know they were, but
well,
why?
I mean, I heard from a lot of them. I talked to a lot of them afterwards, because I was going around, I was doing like a tour of the country, like all the battleground states. And I actually talked to this one girl who had on like this costume. It was like a Maiden's Tale or Handmaid's Tale or whatever. Handmaid's Tale. Yeah. And like she was walking around Pittsburgh, just circling around with that on, saying that she didn't have rights and, all this other stuff, her and a few other women. And so like, I think a lot of women thought that this was the moment. They thought this was going to be Obama again. And, it really wasn't that. It wasn't the Obama movement, really. But the moment, when he got elected. And so I think after talking to a lot of them, they did feel hurt. They felt like, the country is kind of against them. Now, whether that's true or not, the Supreme Court did overturn, Roe versus Wade, and gave it back to the states and stuff like that. So, part of me like feels for them and hears what they're saying, but also like, I mean, I'm going to be chill on this subject just because, some of the women who are participating, it's like, I don't know, but I'm gonna chill out on it. But yeah, I mean, I kind of feel them, but also it's like, I don't really understand what they're trying to go for. And I think it's a little disrespectful to the actual movement that happened when you think about all the rights that women do have here, in America. So, yeah.
I think you're right when you said like similar to how Obama was. For black people, we felt a sense of like comfort, like, okay, we got something. And that honestly, that was the first time I actually paid mind to politics. When it happened, then I turned on 94.3, and then from that point forward, I started paying mind to both sides and trying to understand things. Because I was like, all right, this is what's going on, this is what's happening. And a lot of people stopped paying attention after he got on. They just stopped paying attention. The casuals, they're just your average person who just showed up to all the rallies and I'm so happy. And then they never looked again. Never looked again. So, but because they felt like, God, I got somebody.
Yeah.
So I think the same thing for the women. I'm not saying that nobody's not paying attention. There's some women who definitely are paying mind or feel as if they're being, they don't have the rights that they want to have, or they feel controlled. And that could be something that's personal or for real. Like you said, I'm not going to get into it. But I think this is a sense of saying, okay, I got a woman there. They can just kind of hang their hat on that. Like, okay, we got somebody who hopefully is, looking out for us, or, because they feel that way. And it's a true thing within this country that, of what goes on between women. But we all kind of feel that way in some way in the minority, that we feel like we're not getting what we deserve.
Right.
Yeah.
But I just, that's kind of what I got from it. I was like, boy, people are really mad right now. I had women going crazy on me online. I'm like, all right, well, that's not what I meant. Relax, queen. I didn't mean it like that. And it's interesting to me.
They're really like incelling themselves.
But you know what, man? I honestly, if they feel that this is what they need to do, by all means, do what you need to do. You can't. I mean, me personally, I don't shame them for doing what they feel they need to do, because at the end of the day, we all have emotions, and if they feel they've been slighted, because I know what you're talking about, Brooks, because like some females were saying, like I know some days like, man, this finally. We being heard, we got a woman representing us, and I'm with that, And some people feel that some women can't lead, which I'm not one of those person. I feel like a woman can lead, as long as she's competent to lead, then she can lead. Some women can lead better than some men, So I understand they gripe where they coming from, If they feel that this is what they need to do to the men who they feel that didn't hold them down in that situation, by all means,
What do you think about the women who are doing it, who are in relationships and married?
Isn't that like, honestly,
that's a little weird, isn't it?
It is weird, but check this out. Put like this. If they did it and they are in a relationship, right, and say your husband did vote for Trump, I understand. That's all I got to say. I understand. But now, if he didn't vote for Trump and you doing this, then you dead wrong. I just think you did. Don't hold sex on that, man. You dead wrong. That man had your back. He voted for Kamala. But if he voted for Trump, and you voted Kamala, and you broke down to him about your rights, and your reproductive, like you say, your body, your choice, and she hold out on him, hey, I understand. The house is divided, and the house divided against itself can't stand anyway, so I understand.
On on just paying attention to it. One thing I've noticed, which it was irking me at first, because I don't engage in conversations about this at all online no more, because it just...
sensitive subject.
It's too much.
I don't get it gets wild. But I am happy that people are just paying closer attention or just looking. Because again, like I said, when Obama came in office, I just noticed nobody's paying attention. Like I was just like, what I mean? Like why is nobody paying attention? And I realized people just felt good with just the idea. And I remember when Trump was coming in, and me and my grandfather got into an argument about it. And I was like, I said, I hope he wins. And he flipped out on me. He got up, left, threw a pan out the way. He flipped out on me in the kitchen. I was like, no. I'm not even saying because what I support about him is just the fact that I know nobody's paying attention. He's going to win. Like, I just knew it because everybody's assumed, I'm Democrat. I'm going to vote for you're not paying attention to what's happening. You're not looking. You're not looking at your state. You're not paying attention. This guy he's getting people that feel like they weren't being paid attention to for the longest. And I would rather, if he's racist. Okay, well, I would rather know if somebody was racist. I would rather know that you are. I'd rather know what my enemy is, compared to not knowing how you feel about me. I'd rather see it. And if the more we can see what our opposition is, the more we can feel we can actually come together and not feel so comfortable and act like everything's fine. No, stuff's for real right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Your covert racism is the most
right.
dangerous.
If you don't like me, I would know you don't like me, because I turn my back.
Sheep in wolves' clothing.
Yeah, they're more dangerous than anything. Honestly, me personally, it don't matter. I mean, to some degree, it does matter. You definitely want to see someone that looks like you.
Reverse of that.
You definitely want to see someone that looks like you,
right?
In charge of the free world. But regardless of that aside, regardless of religion, race, color, whatever, what have you, right? I just want someone in there who's going to put an executive order for black people. And that's my 2 cents. We can't get an executive order for nothing.
You want the reparations.
Exactly.
What do you think about that?
Who can put up an executive order for us?
What do you think about reparations?
I agree. I like the idea of reparations, right? I'm a little different. Like, I was more Martin Luther. I'm more Malcolm X these days with my thoughts. And what I would say is this. I would never want somebody in office that focused on one specific set of people. I would never want it. Because once you open up that door, you open up the reverse of that door as well. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, I don't want somebody who's just focusing on one side. Like, you shouldn't be that way if you're a leader. A leader is not supposed to be biased to anybody. You're supposed to look at the bigger picture, and I would never want that because they're gonna say, "Well, hey, you got yours, you got your BET, right? This is our turn." I don't want that, like, because it just you're opening up a crazy door. It needs to be level all the way across the playing field, and that's how I feel about it. Now, reparations, cool. It'll be nice because given the fact that there's other cultures that did get that, Jews, things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
But I will even say I feel like the victim mentality to me is something that really bothers me because I'm looking like, well, a lot of people accept it and they walk within it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's different ways. Hey, I was done wrong. That's an understandable thing. I was done wrong. All right, we know this. I'm with that. But then there's the ones I was done wrong. Here's my handout. I'm not gonna do nothing until you give it to me. I have a problem with that because a lot of people are attaching on to that idea of being a victim, other than saying I'm gonna work towards what I'm gonna get. I'm gonna take it from you. You know what I mean? I'm not a victim. I know you did me wrong. Watch what I do to you next. Like, that's kind of what my mind frame is. Watch what I do to you next. Watch what I come and get and take. But I don't want people who just give it up and just say, just give me something. Because a lot of people just take handouts. And that's just, for me, even as being as a father of two, I just don't, when I look at my sons and when I want to give them something, I make them earn it. I make them go for it. And then they fail, I don't sit there and tell them like, hey, it's okay, What are you going to do next?
But you know what that stems from? That stems from Stockholm Syndrome. That stems from oppression. The biggest thing they used to do is say, black people are lazy. That's a stereotype. We don't want to work. We don't want this. We don't want that. Don't you know, like, if I do a job, and I'm going to tell you how far this goes back, right? If I do a job, say teaching, or if I'm doing cybersecurity or whatever, well, I'm not doing no physical labor, right? Don't you know, like, even my mom at one time, I don't know how she thinks now, if I did electrical work where I got on boots and I'm dirt, then they try to say, oh yeah, now you got a real job. That is the problem. That's the problem. It's like we are not programmed to be the head. We are programmed to be the tail. Whereas America did give reparations to the slave owners. They all got a handout. That's how most of your white people got a foot nowadays. They got a handout, right? So now they want to look at it as saying like, oh, y'all lazy, y'all don't work, all y'all want is a handout. No, we want to level the playing field. And granted, it ain't even with reparations, it ain't gonna be level.
But yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
It's definitely not gonna be level.
Give me land.
Exactly. But which we were supposed to get that.
Right.
We didn't get it.
We were supposed to.
But they got it. You see what I'm saying? Even if you go back, like you said, working yourself and getting it, right? Which we did these things. But even with the Freedmen's Bank, when the country went to recession, what they did, took all the sharecroppers' money because we had the skills. We had the skills, all the know-how, because we've been doing all the work. They took all, that's why a lot of old school black people said, no, I don't trust banks. They took all the money. They've been doing black people wrong for so long that we just become complacent with it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't look at it as a handout. I look at it as what's been owed to you from your family. And we don't even got to go all the way back to slavery. We can go back to the early 1900s. We can go to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Right. They never got reparations. The lady just died. Over about 103 years old. I think they got one last survivor. You know what they did? The church is gone. They put up a placard. Right? And then you didn't even go that far back. You can go to Philly. When they and this in like 1970s or 60s, right. They bomb a whole block of black people living in Philly. America dropped bombs on their own people. You know what I'm saying? It's just what's old. I don't look at it as a handout. It's what you would do. It's what your fathers do, your mothers do, and before them who would do. It's what Brooks people is do. It's what is old, what is due. And I look at it as they giving us something they never gave our people. And yeah, we still work. You know what I'm saying? I still work. I got to eat. I got a son too. I got to take care of my kid. We still work. But it's what is old. And like I said, even with that, we will never be at the same level, but still repair what you have broken, restore what you have broken. The black people meet the U.S. government. Let's have a conversation. And they know it. And by giving it to you, you will cripple the economy. If they give you what you are owed, the economy would be done. They pretty much be like, we literally handing our whole economy.
That's why they won't do it.
That's why they won't do it. Exactly.
Yeah. So you think it will cripple them if we got it?
What's really owed is over $300 some odd billion, something crazy like something.
It's more than that.
Well, it's more than that now, right? Yeah. It was a while ago when I was reading it, but it said if they were to give
It's not a trillion?
Yeah, you might be right. It's in the trillions.
Okay, gotta be in trillions at this
Yeah.
point, right?
No, I read a while ago. It was in
Right,
the
right,
billion,
right.
something crazy. But it's in the trillion. They said it would look. You almost giving America over to black people. Pretty much. That's pretty much what you do.
I mean,
But
3
they
trillion
do
wouldn't
it.
cripple anything.
No, it wouldn't.
But our minds, though, you know, and for you and for what you're saying, I agree with it. Like you don't view it as a handout. But a lot of our people are broken in their mind. So they're going to consider it a handout and act as if it's a handout compared to a person. I'm going to wait for my settlement to show up. I'm going to sit down and wait for this settlement to come to me. A lot of people actually do that. That's the reason why I even try to have these conversations, because I feel like the black family in general, we're not the way we're supposed to be. We live in Charleston, South Carolina, where you could, if a person wants to do something inspiring, they get met with hate before they even get there.
And sometimes
Before
from
you even
your
get,
own people.
it's mainly from your own people.
Yeah.
And then the thing about it is that we know that about ourselves. Granted, there's black banks as well, but before we go to the black bank, we go to the white bank.
Right.
Or somebody selling clothes or selling that. Oh, he's gonna be late. He won't be on time. I'm not gonna get my order in time. Like, because how we even view each other. So if we view ourselves in a particular way, why I don't feel like if we're given money in a sense that we're gonna all of a sudden kumbaya together, because there's a you know
you're 100% right.
you know what I'm saying? Like I just don't. It's mine. This is me.
We're not going to do it. You know, we are a group of people who have been forced to become one. Right. So in Africa, well, some people believe we were already here, which I get it. You know what I'm saying? Some of us are native. I have native blood in my family, stuff like that. So you got to realize, you know, it's an old saying: not every skin folk is your kinfolk. Right. That comes back from certain tribes, right? Certain tribes, even in Israel, you had 12 different tribes. That's meaning not everybody, not all of us were related. You know what I'm saying? But in America, we all had to become one, one people, right? But we all not from the same tribe. You know what I'm saying? So there definitely is going to be some of that animosity, as you've been saying, some of that pushback with some of your own, but also too, because we looking inward at ourselves, but other races have that same pushback as well. Believe it or not, they do. Sometimes we just more publicly with ours, you know what I'm saying? Or we quick to criticize one of our own publicly, but there's a lot of pushback. Even I even heard some people even say within the gay community, they even have some animosity amongst each other's, even in that aspect, you know what I'm saying? So they're always going to be pushback within a certain community of certain people. Right. You know what I'm saying? Even the Bible says a prophet has no honor at home. You know what I'm saying? So you never have no honor in your own home. You know what I mean? So they say when someone has done you wrong, what you do, you confront them. Then if they still contest that, then you do it in front of people so you have a witness. And then when that still goes further, then at that point, it's null and void. You leave them alone. They say you shake the dust of that town off your feet and you exit and you never return. You don't darken no more because there's no truth in them, right? So there's always going to be that type of pushback amongst our own people. There's always going to be like that,
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can definitely see that. But it just gets to me when I really think about it. And again, if you look at all the other cultures, you're right. You can even use the gay community like you just said. Once they started adding a couple more letters to it, then the confusion started.
Yeah,
because they had a tradition, they had a culture.
Right,
their culture changed. As their culture changed, you're like, hey, come on now, what's that mean?
Yep.
That occurred. So even
right.
though we are from different tribes, you know what I mean? What is our culture that unifies us? When you see people from, they just say Chinese store, Chinese food place, whatever,
right.
Or Mexicans who come over, when they come over, they have a culture that they'll get each person up. Like they work within themselves, they move themselves up, and they're very into their culture. They're attached to it. Yep. We're not necessarily attached to a unified culture, which is the reason why I feel like that's why if it comes down to it, we're going to be like, this is mine. Right. You know what I mean? It's not like, let's figure this out, y'all. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let's assemble. Let's organize. If we assemble and we organize first and then go for it, I know we can get it.
I agree, my brother.
But we have to assemble first.
I agree wholeheartedly. Yes. You're 100% right.
We definitely have to organize and get together and figure things out. You know?
But you got to do it in silence.
I think there needs to be some kind of literacy when it comes to the financials. I mean, I think a lot of people don't really know how to balance a budget. and stuff like that. So, I mean, and let alone, trying to get what you need to do to get a loan and all these other things.
And schools don't teach that.
No,
No, they
Neither
don't.
colleges
You really
don't
have
really
to
teach
find it out on your own.
Yeah.
or those households do it.
Yeah.
Certain households know what to pass down, how to do credit piggybacking, all that type of stuff.
Oh yeah.
You're 20 years old, you're 17 years old with your daddy's credit score. How do you do that? You know what I mean? If you know about it, you know about it. If you pass it down, you teach it. That literacy is important.
But I think one of the blessings is, like, I believe social media can be a blessing and a curse, right? But at least one of the good things about social media is people like, guys like yourselves and other social media influencers are putting that awareness out there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you got the Wall Street Trapper and you got Earn Your Leisure, people who look like us, putting information out. And and every information, we in the information age, so things are accessible. Yeah. So it's like, really, if you really want to know, you can learn. It's up to you. If you don't learn, you just don't want to know. You know what I mean? you really just don't want to know. I mean, coming from where my mom, their era, you know what I'm saying, where her father, they might have had some things, their own little businesses and stuff like that. But that was just, and it was good at that time. That just only go as far as the community. But now we can touch the whole world, we can reach the masses now. We can go even further, So that's one of the good things I think about social media.
Yeah, I like it. Well, the bad part, I think, though, with information is, given the fact that people now like clips and they don't like full things, that they're depending on 45 seconds to a minute to get their information, and they'll run with it. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, people will run with it, and we even have platforms out there that purposely position things in a particular way to trigger people and skip the rest of the information, and nobody looks back. Yeah. You know what I mean? I can even be honest with the fact that musically, I've always liked three verses, the full songs, 4 minutes long. But even now, if I listen to old music, I'm like, God, it's a long song. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems, because we're so used to stuff now. We went from Blockbuster, from movies to Blockbuster to Netflix to stream. Like, we need things quickly. We can't even wait no more. So who's looking at long range content like they used to? Like, you have to literally put something out and then break it down into 45-second reels constantly to get somebody to come over and look at the whole thing. Yeah. And you look at the analytics, right? Like, sometimes you're like, come on, man, get through the video.
Right.
Yeah. Get through the video. It's scary.
Yeah. Clickbait, that you put out those headlines,
it works.
And then I agree with you what you're saying, and I'm sort of opposite. Then if it's a song I do like, and I'm like, damn, it's only 2 minutes. And I gotta replay it. I gotta put it on repeat and keep playing over and over again. Yeah.
That's how I feel most music now. It's like 2 minutes and it's like a 20-30 second, intro, and it's like, dang, the song's over.
Yep. Like, 8 bar verses, 4 bar choruses, like, golly.
So you think we living in a microwave society?
Yeah. It's hard for them, like the attention span for the kids. Like, my son, I had to pull him off of social media. Well, I took him off of, like, he's 14. I took him off of YouTube when he was 4 years old, and he hasn't really got YouTube back till he was like 13.
Gotcha.
I took him off like all that just so I can help him with his attention. He also used to have ADD. So he had, he couldn't focus very well. So he already had that problem. So I always made him focus on long range things because I understood that was the problem. And even he says, like, it's fast. Let me look for the rest of the information. Let me look for the rest of the information. But that just started within the household. But it is that type of generation because, again, it's just like everything comes fast. I can't even wait for a show every week. I'm a binge that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you mean you doing weekly episodes? What are you talking about? Like, it's.
I actually have a friend who literally, if it's a weekly show, he'll wait until the whole show airs, so he could just binge it.
People who do that too.
That's what I'm doing now too.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, man. I don't think I can. I can't. Some things I like so much, I can't wait. I gotta watch. It doesn't really bother me that I gotta wait. That's one thing I do love about Netflix. They put the whole episode out so I can binge watch. But certain shows that come on, that's one thing I didn't like about Hulu. They ran commercials and they didn't put everything up there so I can binge watch it. But if it's something I really like and it comes on Friday, I'm watching it Friday. I just can't wait.
Well, I think we missed really breaking down each episode because now that we're binging these episodes, we're getting the information so quickly. It's like you don't really get to dissect it the way you were able to, back in the day, so it's a different time
that's
for
true.
sure. So
and you watch episode 2 and say you watch a series, you don't watch the whole thing, and you don't watch it, and then Louie watch it, then he said, yo, you remember so-and-so? When that happened? That was episode 2. You be like,
yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm breaking down the whole season. Like, all right, this is what I'm seeing. But that's what Power did so good. Power was every Sunday, right? Like people couldn't anticipate it. They broke it down. They're like, hey, don't post it on social media. Like, it. That's why it was so big. Well, I think we're all affected a bit just by the culture right now of how we're getting information.
Right.
But it also makes it difficult for us to get information out too. If it's too much, you're like, oh God.
Yeah. Overkill.
It's 5 minutes? What are you talking about?
Yeah. Power give you them recaps previously on Power, and then they break it up. Did you know he never watched Power?
I still haven't.
What?
There's a lot of shows I still haven't watched.
Start with
There's
Power,
a lot
man.
of shows. What was it? Snowfall?
I would
still haven't seen
Snowfall,
that.
bro. No, I would say
Yeah.
start with The Wire.
Yeah, see, I still haven't even
You
seen
ever watched The Wire?
No.
Oh my God, start with The Wire.
I just finished what was the one with Bryan Cranston? I just finished
Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
Oh, Breaking Bad?
Yeah, I just this year I watched Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I haven't really watched a lot of these shows that
I
were like
watched
big.
all of that, man. Breaking Bad, El Camino, Better Call Saul.
Yeah, see, I haven't
watched
even.
everything.
I don't know if I'm gonna start with that one.
No, start with Breaking Bad,
Yeah.
go into El Camino, then go to Better Call Saul.
Okay.
Yeah. Do it that way. If you jump into Better Call Saul, you might be like, what? You're going to be lost.
But yeah, I definitely need to watch The Wire. I've watched
Definitely
a few
watch The
episodes of it, but I haven't like sat down to watch
The
it.
Wire was critically acclaimed, and they didn't get some of the best writing. They didn't get nominated for no Golden Globes. People was like, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
And they break it down from the block to the schools, to the politicians, to the police, to the media, showing you how from the even from the docks, showing you how this drug coming in, but from the Greeks through the docks to the streets, how it affects every aspect of life, all the way up to politicians. Which the politicians, they think that they didn't want to get rid of the drug dealers, only certain ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then the street, I mean the cops, they call them hoppers back in Maryland, right? That's the little street corner boys. Why you get rid of them? Because as soon as you get rid of them, another one going to reappear. Y'all ain't going to the meat of the situation, but the politicians not really trying to take down, you know, maybe some to look good, but they're not going to the head of the tail where the Greeks one bringing the heroin into Maryland. So it shows you each season, the whole breakdown of what they touching on this particular season, man. It was good, man. It's real good.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out. I
Yeah,
was
check it out,
I was kind of young, and it was a little too much for me.
Yeah. But I bet if you look at it now, you'd be like, yo, yeah, it's real good, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, hey, it's been a great episode.
Yeah, man.
Louie, let everybody know how to get in touch with you and stuff like that.
No, absolutely. You can always find me on YouTube at Sarcastically Woke Podcast. You will always find it. I'm the only person who has that. Sarcastically Woke Podcast on YouTube. You'll definitely find me on Instagram. You can find me Sarcastically Woke _podcast or Louie _843. Either way, you'll find all my socials no matter what direction you go.
Word.
Man.
That's what's up, man. We'll link it below too.
Yeah, man.
So,
It's been a pleasure
Appreciate
having
you
you, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming out, man. Blessing
Yeah,
us with your
for sure.
presence, man.
Definitely have to have you back.
Yeah, definitely
Listen,
have you back, man.
I'll come. Let me know. I'll show up, man.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm in town, I'll show up. It's all good.
We one day when you doing your thing, man, we you know what I'm saying, we can come up and sit in the audience or something.
Yeah,
like that, you know what I mean?
yeah. You did give us an invite. I wasn't able to do it. I was doing all those videos and stuff. So
No, I definitely
Yeah,
invite and
appreciate
even come together on a live podcast. I'm trying to connect with the podcast and put together a little situation where we all come together and really pull the conversation together. Because again, it's all about conversations.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
If you look at everything you spoke about and what you talked about, everything relates to a conversation. Negotiation is a conversation. It's all.
Yep.
We just need to come to the table and speak. And if people can see us conversating and speaking and how we go approach it, we can benefit the world a lot better. So,
Yep. Iron
all
sharp
for
as
it.
iron, man.
absolutely.
for
All
sure.
right, on that note, this has been the Black Summit. I'm Hendrix.
I'm Brooks.
And we are out. Peace.
Peace.
Nice.